Joining us now to give us more clarity on this new Omicron descendant in our weekly medical segment is Dr. Abhishek Raut, Medical Director at Appletree Medical Group. Dr. Raut, welcome back to Forum Daily.
Pleasure to be here.
All right, Dr. Raut. Well, what do we know so far about this new Omicron descendant BA.2 and how it differs from Omicron, now being dubbed BA.1?
Right. So the new BA.2 version of Omicron, technically a descendant of the original BA.1, was designated a variant under investigation by the UK Health Security Agency. And that's because of the increasing number of BA.2 sequences that they're identifying both domestically and internationally. According to Denmark's government research institute, which is Statens Serum Institute, BA.2 has some genetic differences compared to BA.1 in certain important areas, but the most significant of these mutations really have been yet to be seen. The difference between BA.1 and BA.2 is actually greater than the difference between the original SARS-CoV-2 and the Alpha variant. And so those differences could mean issues with infectiousness, vaccine efficacy, or even severity.
And considering these differences, Dr. Raut, why is this BA.2 being called a descendant of Omicron or a subvariant of Omicron rather than a brand new strain?
That's a good question. So BA.2 does have a lot of different mutations. About 20 of them are in the spike protein that studs the outside of the virus, and that's shared with the original Omicron. But it also has other genetic changes that we haven't seen in the initial version. The truth is, if these changes are very significant, especially in the population with the original Omicron, they may assign it a separate Greek letter if that is the case. So it's something that is still yet to be seen.
All right, Dr. Raut. Well, we mentioned over 50 cases have been reported in Canada. Should Canadians be concerned?
BA.2 remains still a low proportion of the circulating viruses in the United States and Canada. There's minimal data right now that suggests whether or not BA.2 is more transmissible than the original BA.1. We know that the CDC, PHAC, and the European agencies are continuing to monitor these variants that are circulating both domestically and internationally.
And we did mention over 40 countries have seen this BA.2 subvariant. So how prominent is it in these countries?
The mutant really appears to be much more common in Asia and Europe right now. In Denmark, it made up 45% of all COVID-19 cases in mid-January. That's an increase of 20% in just 2 weeks. The United Kingdom has also identified more than 400 cases of BA.2 in the first 10 days of January alone, and that's why it has identified it as a virus under investigation here. There's still a lot of uncertainty around the significance of the spread of the viral genome.
Well, taking that into consideration, Doctor, what does this say about the transmissibility of this variant or the number of hospitalizations compared to the original Omicron variant?
That's a great question. And I think there's some good news here. But what we do know is from a transmissibility perspective, it might be perhaps slightly more than the original Omicron, but there's still a lot of research that needs to be done. In terms of hospitalizations, the hospitalization rates for BA.2 seems to be minimal compared to BA.1, which is great. Also, we do need to do further research on that, but we expect that the vaccines that we have will still be quite effective against severe illnesses with BA.2 infections.
And what are your recommendations right now, Dr. Raut, in terms of protection against this BA.2 subvariant?
Right, because the similarities of BA.2 and the original Omicron, the same recommendations typically apply. So first, prevention is always better than cure. Prevention in this case is still wearing masks when we can, hand washing often, and of course, vaccinations and boosters.
All right, Dr. Abhishek Raut, Medical Director at Appletree Medical Group. Always great having you on Forum Daily, sir. Thank you again, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for having me.